Good morning to you, top of the morning. It's Idea Television, yeah, and this is Newspaper Review. I am Paul Olatwepo, a lovely Saturday. It is very cool and calm in the city of Abuja. Wherever you're watching us from, you're welcome to the Newspaper Review this morning, where we take a look at our national dailies and see what exactly is the state of the nation. This morning, we'll be starting with the Nation newspaper to see what has been said on the national daily this morning, starting with on page 5, court documents Amopiton not part of 2023 presidential election dispute. New INEC chairman, not member of Tinubu's legal team. And that's what Ugala is saying. Meanwhile, also on page 4, we see here that no policy change on cost of collection for revenue agencies. That's federal government saying that on page 4. On page 23, we see how Christopher Collade touch our lives by associates and also mentees. That's on page 23. And on page 11, tough times for customers as ATM fraudsters browse bank. Online transfer takes shine off ATM transactions. That's on page 11. And on page 2, why IGP seals Amotekun's base over killing and extortion of residents. That's on page 2. Meanwhile, on page 6, 4 killed as Boko Haram attack military base in Borno. And the big story on page 4, PDP crashes in Enugu as Umba others join APC Tuesday. And that's on page 4. Governor lawmakers party executive exits party en masse. PDP kicks says governor being intimidated, coerced to defect. Put your house in order. We are not architects of your woes. That's what APC is saying this morning. Lots. I mean, over I guess this year we've had so much of deflection from this party to that party. We have a new coalition. There's a lot of here and there, people moving from this place to that place. This year, from in the political scene, it's a whole lot of movement actually, and this is not new as well. Seeing that it happens as well in Enugu, and usually the one party that everyone goes to at the moment is APC. And they keep saying that we are not the ones that are causing the war that happens in your own party. All you just have to do is to fix your house, and probably people will want to stay there. And I mean, 2027 election, like I always say, is going to take a very different turn. We are a lot of new things are going to be happening. A lot of very interesting things, very very interesting things that we do not even expect will be happening in 2027, and we'll all be here to see it, and we'll all be here to watch it and also see it happen live in our eyes. And also also on this on the newspaper this morning is a story of how ATMs are now being sidelined, and that's because online transactions have come, and also we have the point of sale services everywhere that we go. That's the POS. Literally, there's almost no place that you go now that you won't see POS, and it's basically as sidelined ATMs as well. And I guess one of the reasons why it is like that is because of there was usually it's going to be in the news for probably till its confirmation, because every other day now Amukuton is in the news, and since its confirmation, and it's really nice. It's expected because like I said yesterday that there are a lot of things that we're expecting Amukuton to do. There's I mean it's stepping into very very large shoes, not just big shoes. The shoes are very large, and everyone is really hoping that he's able to perform his best, and not just perform his best, but also gain the people's trust, because INEC has lost the people's trust, and one of the things that we expect Amukuton to do in the forthcoming gubernatorial elections is to win the people's trust. If he can win the people's trust at the gubernatorial elections, if he can win the people's trust as the gubernatorial elections are coming up, I guess we'll have a very probably a people more trust the system more in 2027. That is what the nation says this morning. Now let's move on now to Saturday Punch to see what has been said on the Saturday Punch this morning. We see that Umba plan APC defection tears Enugu PDP apart. Certificate scandal, our President Tinubu's orders ex-minister's resignation. And also on entertainment, we see here that being vulnerable won me Big Brother Niger. That's what Emisi, the winner of the Big Brother Niger 10 over 10 season, says. And also dealing with hurtful comments about my daughter tough. That's what content creator Malete Arts Family says. That's what he's saying on page 18 on the Punch this morning, and also on page 20 and 21 says inside the daily struggles of citizens drowning in poverty from dreams to despair. And on page 2 we see that why my father started school for traditional worshippers. That's what the coordinator is saying. And meanwhile, on page 14, four soldiers killed as terrorists hit Borno base with grenades. That's on page 14. Meanwhile, on page 4, we see that Benin Varsities, and also Nigerian Polytechnics in NYSC fraud. Blacklisted Benin Republic, sorry, that should be Benin Varsities. Blacklisted Benin Republic schools for smuggling graduates into NYC. We paid 400 for Nigerian ND certificates, Benin graduate says. It is not possible, says NYC. It says NYC Ministry of Education and NAPTIV demands proof. I guess when it comes to Benin and also the universities, because of how desperate some Nigerians are, especially Nigerians who fall into their trap, because of how desperate they are about going to the university, most of them sometimes after trying jump 1 or 2 times or 3 times and can't get their way into any Nigerian university, would go for other options, and one of such is Benin, which usually offers some kind of cheaper which is sometimes cheaper in terms of financing and all of that. And so they moved to Benin in pursuit of their BSc, and then after 4 years or 5 years or 3 years, they come back to Nigeria, and it turns out. So there has been. I remember that there was a time where I guess they had to release a list of schools that were actually not accredited, and so it has been a lot of toggle back and forth, and now we're seeing again them being in the news yet again as regards them smuggling school graduates, supposed school graduates, into NYC. We shouldn't be. And I guess this on this particular story is even more specific about there are some schools that have already been blacklisted already following the investigation. Then there were some schools that have been blacklisted, a number of them, a very long number of them, and now these schools are still smuggling their school graduates now into NYC program again. And also there's also the story of people from Benin claiming that they paid 400,000 naira to get a Nigerian ND certificate, and which is that's the higher national diploma, which is also very very interesting. And also there's the story of Emisi as well. Yeah, the winner of Big Brother, the 10 over 10 season. It was for those who watched. It was a very very lovely one, and Emisi was basically the talk on at every point in time she was on everybody's face. I mean, I'm not sure I actually had enough of watch time on TV, but Emisi was everywhere on social media during the house while she was in the house, and so it's expected that someone like that wins. And she actually was basically herself, and that's what she's saying. She's saying that being vulnerable actually helped her win the prize at the end of the day. We're going to a short break now. Once we return, we continue with the newspaper review. We'll be right back.
Robotic Process Automation, RPA. RPA is about automating repetitive tasks that typically require human intervention, whether it's processing invoices in the finance sector or automating customer service interactions. RPA is transforming how businesses operate. The benefit? Employees can focus on higher value tasks, while software bots handle the mundane stuff. However, RPA implementation comes with high upfront costs and requires maintenance. The RPA market is expected to grow from $1.89 billion in 2020 to $13.74 billion by 2028. But companies must balance automation with potential job losses.
Yeah, welcome back. It's still Idea TV, and this is the newspaper review. I'm Paul Latkupo. Moving on straight now to Saturday Tribune to see what's been said on the front page. We see the face of the governor of Osun State, in person of Ademola Adeleke, says that Osun local government crisis, council's fund intact with us, UBA's lawyer tells court. That's on page 5 of the Tribune this morning. Meanwhile, on page 4, we see that Ekiti governor presents 415.57 billion naira budget to the House there in Ekiti. Meanwhile, on page 4, we see that man reprimanded for raping and killing grandmother in Ondo State. Meanwhile, on page 13, we see that Kano's 1.06 billion naira mass wedding plan wasteful. That is what groups are saying. That's on page 13. Meanwhile, on page 25, we see that the Lagos APC hails Tinubu's pardon of Macaulay and 174 others, says a triumph of justice and compassion. That's on page 25. And on page 4, we see that Nigerians would defeat APC in 2027. That's what PDP is saying. Says it won't be distracted by defecting governors, tells new INEC boss to end era of inconclusive elections. That's on page 4 of the Saturday Tribune this morning. Now, well, it's really amazing to see that Ekiti is actually having a good start ahead of 2026, and hopefully their budget is able to be passed before 2026. I mean, we have about 2 months, roughly about 3 months if you see to calculate this month as well. But it's roughly less than few days of yeah, actually less than 800 days, I guess, or probably around 120 days to go to cross over to 2026. And so it's a good move from the Ekiti government and to submit that budget this early, and hopefully it's being passed before the end of the year so that by 2026 they're able to kick things and also swing into action speedily. And also we see it's really nice. Yesterday the president actually pardoned a number of persons, and there are some groups who are ailing him, saying that it says it's triumph of justice and also compassion. I mean, there's always this saying about tampering justice with mercy, and I guess that's what the president has done in this particular case. And also we see the story of PDP yet again. I mean, PDP is they are telling the new INEC boss that it should end the era of inconclusive election. I guess this is more specific to states because I mean there are a number of states that have had inconclusive election in the last years, and that is what they are trying to. That's what they are referring to. That it should ensure that whatever election that is going to conduct, it should ensure that it doesn't have to end inconclusively. And also, there's the story of the Osun local government crisis. They've been in the news back and forth as regards opening of releasing the freeze funds, getting court order there and that. They've been in the court over and now and I guess probably they were they were there were talks around the funds not even being in the account again, and already UPS lawyers has already confirmed to the court saying that the funds, the local government council's funds, are intact in the accounts and they're in the bank, so it's just being frozen and can't be accessed, and that's what that is being said. Also, I guess we'll take quickly the Weekend Trust to see what is being said. There's an offshoot of the Daily Trust this morning. It says a journey through Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. That is an uncovered story there. Meanwhile, on page 16, we see here that Boko Haram attacked military base in Borno. 8 CJTF killed in Zamfara. Also, on page 28, 11 years after relatives waiting news of victims. That's on page 28. Meanwhile, on page 9, we see that digging for survival, the story of Plateau underage minors. That's another uncovered story. And on page 22 is the story of Odumodu Black from Abuja Straits to global stages. And on page 16, Enugu governor to join APC, says the party chairman. Meanwhile, the big story here is an article on page 4 says state of emergency over insecurity, where, when, and how. And it has a graphic there with a map of Nigeria and a cartoon character representing the president, I guess, right there saying that Nigeria is in a state of insecurity at the moment, and brick by brick, the president is probably laying with justice, unity. I can see in a state of emergency, address unemployment, and a few other things here, which are the solutions to the state of the where the state is at the moment. It's a really wonderful one, and then it does it's I guess it breaks down what exactly we're facing and also what is also in the news. There has been a lot of stories when it comes to insecurity so much lately, a lot of insecurity stories, and we just wish that they could just pass over. This called passives over, and we get to a state where we are all safe and secure, and we know that moving from one place to another has nothing attached to it. You can move in pace and not be worried about your movement or what happens to you or what happens to your kin or your property. I mean, it's really going to be very nice. I mean, even in Borno recently, there a military base was attacked and it led to the death of a number of personnels, military personnels, and which is I guess about four of them, and it is really very sad to see things like this happen. And also, it's I mean underage getting children to work at any level already is bad enough, and not to talk about getting children to um, be minors. That is very sad. It is wrong. It shouldn't be done. It is, it boils down to the story of how well we're enforcing our Child Labor Act, which is it is very sad to see things like this happen, and this is happening in Plateau. That's just. I really hope that there are more crackdowns like this to uncover where exactly the perpetrators are. Children are meant to be in the school and not working, and they are meant to study and know exactly what life is about, know some have some basic knowledge about life before getting into the workforce, and that is why, and that is I guess that's a clarion call to everyone. And also, I guess in the celebration of children as well, I should just mention that today also is the International Day of Girl Child. It's a very big celebration for every girl child out there. And this year's theme is centered around the girl I am, the change I lead, and it says girls on the front line of crisis. It's a theme this year's emphasizes the identity of girls as leaders, as athletes, as agents of change, especially in situations of conflict, climate disaster, and other emergencies. It aims to amplify the voices of every girl out there and also support their efforts, no matter how big or small. their whatever they are pushing now at the moment. And I guess that's how we call it a day here on the newspaper review. This Idea Television. You can follow us across all social media platforms at Idea Television. Thanks for joining.